In the liturgy of the Eucharist, one of the first things we do is to have a procession of the gifts toward the altar, bread, wine, and the financial contributions that people have made. All of this is an indication of our willingness to offer ourselves to God in sacrifice.
The bread and the wine are symbolic gifts of all that we bring together to the table of the Lord. Because it's not just the gifts of canned goods or the bread or the wine, but through that procession we are symbolically presenting ourselves at the table of the Lord.
When some members of the faithful are invited to bring the gifts and to present them for the Eucharist, as bringing those offerings, it's as though they bring on behalf of the whole gathered assembly the offerings, because we're all bringing something of ourselves to be offered for the Lord in the Eucharistic sacrifice.
We're bringing up bread and wine, but we're also, in a sense, offering ourselves and who we are and our concerns and our hopes and our prayers and all the people that we're holding with us as well. And we're giving that to God in the hopes of being transformed and drawing closer to Him.
On that altar, we are recreating, remembering the sacrifice of Christ. We're entering into the great sacrifice again, the great oblation offered to the Father again.
There is a link between the procession of the gifts, the bread, wine, and the collection that symbolize the offering of our very lives on the altar, and the communion that comes back to us from the altar, the bread and wine that's consecrated and returned to the people.
That means we have to offer ourselves, everything we are. Our lives, our intellect, our emotions, everything we are is sacrificed, is put at the service of God.
When the priest says, "Pray that my sacrifice and yours may be acceptable to God, our Almighty Father," we're speaking about the gift of bread and wine at the altar, along with the gift of ourselves that we're offering, the gift of hearts that are given over to God, that are open to God's grace.
People are baptized into this community, and we all have a priestly role. We all join with the priest in offering the sacrifice. We all join with him in giving thanks and praise to God.
You know, through baptism, we're made priest, prophet, and king. So we're exercising our priestly ministry in the sense that we, in union with the priest, are offering as well too in the Eucharistic sacrifice, not just Christ Himself, but our very lives as well too.
It's the holy sacrifice of the Mass. What sacrifice am I willing to make? And that's crossing the red line to being open to an encounter with Jesus so that I can truly become a disciple.